Afternoons. We're going to be talking about Canberra's bus network next. Do you have a favourite bus? A memory of a bus? Maybe there's a bus that you used to ride as a child. I hear that the 333 bus was quite a popular one. Do you still catch the bus? Well, there's a Canberra Public Transport Museum that has opened up in Yass, and we're going to be speaking to someone from that museum about the memories of Canberra's public transport, which turns 100 this year. So Canberra's public transport network, it's marking a major milestone this year, 100 years since the first buses began operating in the national capital. Even if, as I say, 100 years, I can hardly believe it. But it started with only 2 buses in 1926. And now look at us today. But alongside that history, there's a passionate group working to preserve the vehicles and stories that got us here. Zach Mathers is president of the Canberra Transport Museum and a local bus driver. Zach, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So just explain, 100 years, what did public transport in Canberra look like back then?
So the first government-run buses were a bit more like a utility with sort of seats in the back. That's pretty basic. The first actual buses that were more like buses were purchased later in 1926, but certainly the first ones to begin service were more like a utility with seats. Very, very basic.
So a bit different to what we have today.
Yes, absolutely.
And what sort of started it? Was there was a need for public transport back then?
Yeah, I'm not as well versed in the history back into 1926, but I believe it was to move workers around with the construction starting and progressing around Canberra.
You're president of the Canberra Transport Museum. For people who don't know, can you explain what it is?
Yeah, so we're a very small group at the moment, and we're preserving mainly buses. We do have a lot of timetables, old uniforms as well, and we've finally been able to get a spot where we can display our buses, and that's in partnership with the Yass Railway Museum. So we've currently got 3 buses on display at Yass Railway Museum, and we'll be having a display of uniforms and timetables set up there shortly as well.
So 3 buses, what sort of era were they from?
So they're all from the same sort of era. You'd recognise them, the orange and blue buses. So we've got a bendy bus, which is from the late 1980s. We've got one of the very first wheelchair accessible buses, which is from the late 90s. And we also have one of the dinosaur buses out there, as everyone probably would recognise that if they saw it, with the dinosaurs on the side of it.
Hang on, dinosaur bus. For those who don't know, I think you might need to explain that a bit more.
Yes. So it's an aqua bus. There was 3 of them around Canberra, and it was about conserving fossil fuels. And it was the 3 buses wore that livery for their entire life. So from 1992, and the last one retired in, I think, 2024. So they're a lot of people always talk about them.
Why are they no longer? I think I'd like to see a dinosaur bus.
Yeah, so they were not wheelchair accessible, which is the first reason they were retired, and also just coming up age and parts, which is certainly a problem we have at the Transport Museum, finding parts for them for all our buses. But certainly the fact that they weren't wheelchair accessible was the biggest reason for their retirement, yeah.
And so in terms of finding parts, is that because you still, start the buses and run them?
Yeah, absolutely. So our bendy bus is currently our only running bus, and we have a few buses which are very close to being able to run. And it's just a question of not only finding the parts, but also finding people with the knowledge to fix them, because whilst we might be able to drive them and we know how to clean them and keep them tidy and everything, we lack a lot of mechanical knowledge with our groups. So it's finding the people who know how to fix them. It's one of our biggest issues.
I can imagine. Where do these people come from?
Well, we need volunteers. So anywhere, if anyone has mechanical knowledge, we're more than welcome to hear from them.
Yeah.
And auto electrical knowledge, because it's usually the French electrics which trump everyone, because all these buses are French.
So if anyone has knowledge on French electrics, please contact Zach. Is that the message today?
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone that wants to volunteer, we're happy to hear from them, especially if they have a mechanical or auto electrical background. We can just fill out a contact form on our website, which is ctm.org.au.
You've spoken about some of the buses that you have at the Transport Museum. In terms of, what people feel passionate about or particularly connected to, is there a particular era, do you think, of buses in Canberra that people feel attached to?
I think a lot of people, certainly my sort of age group, connect to the orange and blue buses, the Renaults. People remember the 333, the Renault Bendy bus running on it when they were new. A lot of people always talk about the 333, which was your Belconnen to Tuggeranong service through the city in Woden, and people love talking about the 333.
Why is that? What is it about that bus?
I think it's just something people always seem to remember. Maybe it was the number was easy to remember, or just the fact it was so frequent. I'm really not sure, but if you talk to people, I remember catching the 333. That's what I find people always say.
Is there a particular bus that you would like to have in the collection?
At the moment, we're pretty happy with our collection. The next sort of thing we'd be looking at would be some of the modern low floors which Transport Canberra have in their fleet currently. So at the moment, our current plan is just about getting what we have into a working order, and then expanding in the future when Transport Canberra start to retire more of their current fleet, which is hopefully a little while away, which gives us more time.
When people come and see some of these buses, do they have memories? Do they share stories that they tell you about the buses?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had drivers who have worked for Action or Transport Canberra actually come out and see the buses. I believe we had, because in the 90s and 2000s, the drivers would actually have the same bus most days. And we have had, on a few occasions, the driver that had a specific bus that we have in our fleet come and visit. And it's always interesting to hear things like that.
So there's like a nostalgia attached to, the buses as well from passengers, but as well as the drivers who drove them.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. What sort of bus have you driven?
I've driven everything in the current Transport Canberra fleet. I love driving the electric buses at the moment. They've got good heaters and they're just nice to drive.
Keep you warm.
They're certainly modern, but I used to love driving the old buses. When I first started driving, the old buses were great to drive.
What's the difference? Can you explain between the old buses and the buses you've got now?
The steering is a lot lighter and a lot easier on the body. And obviously the acceleration, you get a lot more acceleration out of something modern, particularly an electric bus, as opposed to the older diesel buses.
So the Canberra Transport Museum, tell us a little bit about it, where it is and how it got started.
Yeah, so we were founded in 2018, and that was after a previous group, the Retired ACT Transport Employees Club, which held a lot of the history, folded. So we're a bunch of transport enthusiasts. I think most of our committee works in some capacity in the industry at the moment. And as I mentioned earlier, we're based at the moment out of the Yass Railway Museum. We've been in partnership with them for about 6 months, where we can park our buses, because that's been a big struggle for us. So, we can 10 till 4 on Sundays, people can come and visit. We don't always have someone from the Canberra Transport Museum on site, but there's always someone at least from the Yass Railway Museum there to open the site up. And our buses are on display there.
So Canberra Transport Museum in Yass, are you looking to get it any closer to the capital in the future?
We would absolutely love to get it closer to Canberra in the future. Obviously, the cost of parking buses in Canberra is a lot more, but we would certainly we're certainly looking at working with sort of ACT Property Group, or I think that they've changed names now, or even other local organisations to get parking in Canberra, because it's much easier to display our buses and even run them when they're in Canberra.
In terms of running them, are they registered? Can you drive them on the roads?
Yes, so our bendy bus is the only operational one at the moment, but we do have 3 registered on historical plates, so we can drive them on the road. And looking ahead later into this year, we do plan on having an event, which was sort of early on in the planning phase where we're actually going to be able to run them for the public to come and have a ride on it. And
So buses and 100 years of public transport. What are your reflections over that time? What are your sort of favourite memories and things that you reflect on?
Well, I'm only 31, so I haven't been around for many of those 100 years. But I just sort of, I guess, it's interesting seeing all the people on public transport. You know, you meet so many different people, and it's also just interesting how it's evolved. Like, obviously, even if you look back 10 years ago, we didn't have the light rail in Canberra. So there's a number of buses that were running out to Gungahlin, and it's just interesting how that's changed even in that short time frame. Now we've got the light rail. The light rail is extending again, and it's interesting how it evolves.
Just before we go, you're obviously passionate about buses. What do you love about being a bus driver?
I think sort of no day is ever the same, and you're always meeting different characters. You know, there's people you see every day and you get them on your bus, you're always saying hello, or there's people you see once in a blue moon that are very eccentric, and it's just, there's so many different people, and it's always interesting.
Always
be a great way of doing it.
Always interesting. Zach Mathers, thank you so much for joining us today.
Great, thanks for that.
Well, I love the 333 and I love the old orange, and I remember getting on the bus. I came here in the early 80s, and I used to get on the bus and as quickly as possible head to feel under the seats. Looked kind of a little bit weird, but I was looking for the heater for my cold hands.
So you'd reach under the seats and to warm up your hands? Yeah,
absolutely.
It's not like that anymore, is it?
No, it was a real kind of win to get the heater seat. But anyway...
Was there a race for the heater seat?
Well, it was a race for me. Cold, I forgot my gloves very often. Anyway, yeah, it's kind of a memory. But the 333 was great. It got you from, interchange to interchange really fairly quickly. It was great. But I just wondered, Mary, whether anyone remembers, I believe it was called a B-line bus.
Ooh,
and it was
B-line
kind
bus.
Of like it used to run, it was free, and it used to take you like in a bit of a square around Civic, and it was the second half of the 80s.
Oh.
And it looked like a replica tram of sorts, the old the really early tram/buses.
So a B-line bus that looked like an old tram. It was brown. Does anyone else have that memory? And so it did a loop around Civic, did it?
It did a loop around Civic. You could park at the ANU at that point and, travel around to, say, Glebe Park or wherever, the offices kind of I was working in at the time in that direction, and then it would loop back. That's my memory. Memory is a bit of a deceptive thing, but I do remember that bus quite vividly.
Well, Bernadette, maybe some other listeners also have that memory. So if anyone remembers the B-line bus, it looked like an old tram and it sort of did a loop around Civic. Maybe you can help Bernadette out with her memory. Thank you, Bernadette.
Have a great one, Mary.
You too, Bernadette. That's Bernadette from Kayleen. We've also got Fred from Greenway on the line. Hello, Fred.
Hello, thank you for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. So you call yourself a bus enthusiast. Do you have a favourite Canberra bus?
Well, I've got multiple, but at the moment it's one of the bendy buses, one of the green ones, 517.
Oh.
So it's, in my opinion, a pretty nice bus. I quite like it.
And what is it about the bendy bus?
I don't know. I've always, ever since I was in primary school, went on school charters to events and had bendy buses all the time. The orange ones, and I always just used to love how they turned with the middle part, and just how they sound as well. That just grew on me, and I began to like them quite a lot. So
now, Fred,
that's pretty much.
maybe you can help me, because when I was little, I used to stand in that bendy bit, and I always thought felt very naughty. I felt like I shouldn't be standing there. Are you actually allowed to stand in that bendy bit of the bus? Is it safe?
It says you can't, but it doesn't stop people from doing it. People still do. I can understand if it's really busy and you're trying to squeeze in, I guess it's fine and you can hold on to something, but it's not recommended because it's not that safe.
So maybe don't do what little Mary used to do. Do not stand in the middle of the bendy bus.
Probably not ideal.
Okay. And do you have a favourite memory of buses, Fred?
Yes, I do. Have one that's always actually stuck with me it was back in the early 2010s, I think, when we just first moved to Canberra, or a few years after. I used to walk to school with my mum, and he used to have a bus that goes past our house, and the driver would always see us walking to school. And one day he stopped and let me on and just took me to school, and it happened pretty much every day. And that bus just stuck with me because it was 977. And as Zach previously said, buses were driven by the same driver every day. So it just stuck with me, and because it was in a special livery, used to call it the Apple Bus. So
the Apple Bus.
It's just stuck with me, and that's probably my favourite memory of a bus in Canberra.
Fred, thank you so much for sharing that memory with us. Now, by any chance, you would have heard Bernadette. She said she remembered the Beeline bus around Civic. Do you remember that bus at all?
I've heard of it, but I was not born then. I was only born in 2006. So I've never really looked into it, but I've heard of it, and it might get decent packs today if you brought it back, perhaps, but I'm not too familiar with it.
Okay. Well, Fred, thank you so much for sharing your memories and your thoughts about buses in Canberra. I mean, my children catch buses and they always love their bus. So I think it's something that says about, catching a bus every day and having those memories. So thank you so much, Fred.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Oh, and that's Fred. Sorry, Fred, I just cut you off at the end there. But we do have a text on the text line, which is 0467 922 666. This texter says, I do remember the little tram bus from when I was a teenager. I also miss the 333. That's from BB in Watson. So, mate, is that the little tram bus? Is that the same bus that you're talking about, Bernadette? Maybe BB in Watson also remembers it. Hello, Jen. It's so nice. I'm so well. It's nice to join you on this lovely Friday. The sun's coming through the windows down here.
Yes, it's looking nice.
It is looking very nice. Now, Jen, are you a bus enthusiast? Do you like catching public transport?
I don't have a hugely strong opinion on it, got to say, Mary. But I don't. But yeah.
So no favourite bus for you?
No. But when I need to catch public transport, I catch it.
It just does the job.
It does the job.
Okay,
that puts it perfectly. Yeah.
Well, that's perfect for you then, Jen. Thank you so much. Okay. We've got some fans on the text line, so thank you, Jen.
Bye.
We're going to be speaking to Jen Sexton again, but on the text line 0467 922 666. Bernadette, does this help at all? Because we've got a texter who says the bus that you were talking about was called the Downtowner bus. Does that ring a bell? The Downtowner bus, a free bus that looked like an old tram that went around Civic. Was it called the Downtowner bus? Also, this texter, L in Flynn, says, "Hi Mary, I used to travel to primary school in Shell Harbour on a red double-decker bus like the London buses. We loved it." Wow, a London-looking bus, a red double-decker bus in Shell Harbour. L in Flynn, I'd love to see a photo of that. Do we have any other red buses in around Australia? Do we have any of those? I only know the yellow buses. I caught a school bus, and it was a yellow bus when I was younger, and my kids catch a public bus to school at the moment. But yeah, no red double-decker bus. Now, we might have someone on the line. Larry from Charnwood, did you used to drive the 333 bus?
That's correct, Alan, that's correct.
You drove the 333, so it's been touted today as being a favourite bus. What made it so good?
Oh, the kids loved it because they called it the bendy bus.
The bendy bus, the 333 bendy bus.
Yes, that's it. And then you picked up a lot of people with it. They were very good passenger mover type of thing, people mover. So they were. So they did that for a lot of years. Like a lot of other drivers did the same. And then later on, the little trams came around the corner around, drove around Civic, everything. A bloke called me and Fox. We drove them. So we did them for a lot of years. So they were very popular too for people to jump on, jump off.
Yeah.
But they were they were designed as a tram type of thing. The chief at that time was Mr. Bloke called Guy Thurston. He brought it was his initiative to bring them in. Everything, and very, very popular.
I mean, it sounds like it. Everyone seems to, from what I heard, speaking to the Public Transport Museum, the 333 bus was a very popular bus. So it was a bendy bus. And are you allowed to stand in the bend, Larry?
Sorry, was that? Yes, you were. You were.
You were.
You were safe while it was there. The kids used to love to sit on the stairwell, and then when you turned left or turned right, you moved, you see, and they loved that.
Oh, Larry, thank you so much for sharing your memories of the 333 bus. You seem to have made a lot of memories over that time. It seems to be a very popular bus.
Oh, you brought that and met a lot of beautiful people too. So they got on. So they did all the different sorts.
I'm sure you did, because sometimes it's not about the bus, it's about the people that catch it with you or the bus driver who drives you.
That's correct. Well, I got them there safe and sound over 30 years, so that I'm happy with that.
Oh, Larry, that sounds like a good innings. Thank you so much for the call today.
Thank you.
That's Larry from Charnwood, a 333 bus driver. We've been talking about public transport in Canberra because it's turning 100 this year. Seems to be people have a lot of memories, a lot of good memories of public transport in Canberra, and especially the buses. Do you have a favourite bus? We'd love to hear on 666 ABC Radio Canberra. You can call us on 1300 681 666 or send us a text 0467 922 666. I am Mary Good and I'm filling in for Alice Matthews today.